Okay, so today we're installing these running board flares on the YJ project. These are the factory style. So they bolt to the body using two existing bolt holes here. That should be riv nuts in the body for the fender flare extension. And then there's a metal plate step underneath of this that bolts through the floor, which you're going to have to drill holes for if you never had these on your vehicle. And then there will be an additional hole drilled back here where you have to put a riv nut into the body because you can't access the other side. And then you have to drill these 4 holes for the step panel. And then the step panel also has plastic studs sticking off the bottom that you just screw on some stamped sheet metal nuts. So this is this is the metal step. Here's your sheet metal nuts. Now when you put these on, you want to put them on by hand. Use a socket, whatever, and screw them on by hand. They need to be snug. If you make them tight, you're going to snap them off or you're going to strip it. So this is held on with a bolt, and then there's a bolt inside here and here. There's a plate up under here that's up on the floor. You can't really get to because these bolt from the top. Here's your rear bolt. It's a 1/4 20, and you're gonna have to drill a hole for a 1/4 20 riv nut. Now lining these up on here, what I did was, as you can see, there's like a notch or something sticking down here, like a little lip. I made the lip even basically with the bottom of the rocker panel. So you should be able to see paint going across here. And then it uses factory bolts here from the old extension. Now when you take off the old extension, there should be a metal plate here. You're going to move that metal plate to the back. It's like a stiffener plate to spread the bolt load out over this plastic to keep the plastic in place. Up here, it's going to tuck behind this metal plate, and then you just stick this back through. This goes through both pieces of fender flare, and it goes through the metal plate, and that's what holds it all together. None of this is a crazy perfect fit the way these are made. Also, when you install this, this plastic needs to tuck behind this metal step, which makes a difference when you're drilling the holes for this metal step. So let me show you what the parts are that you're going to need. So obviously you need the steps. These came off of a YJ. They are actually gray plastic. I've yet to figure out how I'm stripping these safely, so I'm just getting them on for now. Probably when it gets warmer out, their spring comes, I'll take them back off and go after them with some stripper to get them stripped and repaint them. But these are obviously left-right specific, so you do need a pair, left and right. This is the step. The step is left-right specific. And here's the step tread. The step tread is universal, left and right. This one is missing one of the studs, so I'm using this on the driver's side. That way the stud that's missing is facing the back of the vehicle to keep wind and stuff from getting up under it and trying to lift up on it and potentially snapping off one or more stud. You're going to need a riv nut tool with a 1/4 20 riv nut for each side. If the riv nuts under this are bad, you're going to need to replace them too. Or up here, you really could use nuts and bolts because you can get to the back. One's inside the body and one is in a void here where the body mount is. Now the one you're going to be adding is going to be in the back in this area. And the reason you can't get to it is because on the inside is where the B-pillar support here is. that your seatbelt's bolted to. There's no way to get in there without cutting that open, and I wouldn't go cutting that open. It takes a riv nut. Just install a riv nut. This tool is inexpensive. It comes with riv nuts. And if you don't want to get this tool and you want to try and be super cheap about it, you can go to Harbor Freight. They sell a hand tool that looks like, here, I probably have one over here in a drawer or something. They actually sell, here it is. So this is the tool they sell at Harbor Freight, and it comes with American threaded aluminum riv nuts. I guess they would do the job. You really shouldn't use aluminum riv nuts though on steel, because you can get corrosion from using dissimilar metals together. But if you just want to grab that and use the cheap one, go for it. We are using these anodized metal ones. You can get them off Amazon in big bags, cheap. And like I said, when you buy the tool, this is the smaller tool. I have a bigger one. The bigger one goes up pretty big, and it has like basically every size. This tool only does 1/4 inch and 5/16, and then it does metric 5 to metric 10. Like I said, it'll come with these little bags, which you'll have enough to do what you need to do. As you see how many comes in the bag. And again, these can be purchased on Amazon. They're inexpensive. Now, the first thing it will need to do is take off that flare. So to remove the flare, you're going to take a door panel tool. You're going to pop out this little tray. If I can do it while I'm holding the phone. And it's not going to cooperate. Alright, let me get another tool. Alright, so there it is off. It's just one of those little Christmas trees that you push in. So that's all you need the door panel tool for. We're going to set that up on top so it's out of the way and we won't lose it. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to need, take a 7/16 and you're going to loosen this bolt with a big bracket on it, and then you're going to remove the other two bolts under here. There's the one in the back that's got the reinforcement plate. That plate will get moved all the way to the back, and there's another bolt. I think it's there. You just can't see it because there's no light. So we'll do that real quick and be right back. Okay, so here's what it's gonna look like once you get this apart. And wipe off whatever this crap is. Wipe off your dirt, where you're not smashing dirt behind there. Here's this metal plate. I've had this vehicle apart. We just finished restoring it, so this has already been cleaned, primed, and painted, and rust treated. Here is the metal plate out of the back. So it's just a metal plate, and it's got a little bend in it. It's in there to hold tension on the back of this to try and, I guess, keep it straight. Keep it from wanting to do this on the body. Here's your riv nuts. Like I said, this one you can get to on the inside next to your foot. It's the bottom of the A-pillar. This one here, there's a void underneath of here that you can get to it from behind. A lot of times those riv nuts spin. These bolts are seized in there, and then you end up having to cut the bolt off, then grind the head off of the riv nut and replace it. So, like I said, here's your two bolts. They came out of here. We've already had this apart. I think I replaced one or both of these previously. Now, when you put these bolts in, any of these bolts, the bolts in the metal step you're going to install, the bolts that go through the body here for the step tread, or this rear riv nut, I strongly suggest using some Never Sees. If you've never used this, this shit is like, it's like glitter. It gets everywhere. You touch something with it, you get it on your hand, and now it's everything you touch has it on there. This is an older bottle, so it's a little thicker. It's not that bad. But because shit rusts up, and being rib nuts and everything else, I put this shit on everything, simply because if I need to take it apart in a couple years or a year or whatever, I want it to come back apart. I don't want to have to go through all this aggravation again of grinding the head off the bolt, pulling this panel off, grinding these damn rib nuts down to nothing so that they fall out, and replacing with rib nuts again. Or just snapping the bolt off. So, like I said, I recommend getting a can of Never Seas. This is the silver color. It comes in a copper also.
For high temperature.
Yeah, for high temperature use. But when you put everything together for your final assembly, put this stuff on there. Now that we have this apart, what we're going to do next is we're going to discard this. We're going to put this up here. And this will slide behind there just like the original one did. And then we're going to take a couple of these big clamps and we're going to clamp it to the body to hold it in place where I need it. Because having this located where it needs to be is going to help us locate that metal step to drill the holes through the floor. So we'll be right back with that. Alright, so here's your basic mock-up on the actual flare. What we've done here is we've installed the front, how it's going to be. So this plastic flare has a lip on the front. It goes under this flare and is sandwiched between the front flare and this metal piece. And then in the end, after you're finally all completely done, you're just going to put that Christmas tree back in the hole. So, as you can see, none of this is a perfect fit. It's just the way these are made. Underneath here, we started both of these bolts again, just so that we are absolutely sure that the front of the flare is where it needs to be. We stuck a clamp here just to hold it. We stuck a clamp in the back here to hold. And what we did in the back here, how I align these, as you can see in the front, you've got a relief where you can see the paint. So when I get to the back here, what I did on the other side is I basically looked at how this rear flare is. And then this lip here that sticks down past, this inner lip is much higher than this one. I basically make this even with the bottom of the rocker panel. So we just have a clamp on here. You can also use binder clips to hold it if you want to use a bunch of them going down there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this. Like I said, these are left-right specific. You cannot put them on wrong. And I say that because these are at different heights. If you try to put it on wrong, this will not be sitting flat, because the front floor where this goes through is lower than this part, which is under the seat basically. So we're going to take this panel. This is your step tread. Like I said, these do not matter left and right. They have these plastic rivets, studs sticking out the bottom. We're going to set this in place. Light around. So what we're going to do is set this in place. If it wants, I guess that one's broken too. Yep, we got another broken one. Great. So we're going to end up having to glue that, but for our purposes right now, it'll suffice, because what we're doing is we're setting this in here so that it will go through the holes in the step, and that will help us align the step under the body to drill the holes. Now, right here, this is where one of your bolt holes is going to be. That's why this cutout is, this notched cutout, whatever you want to call it, on this hat channel is right here. That's going to be for this rear bolt here. The rest of them are not marked, unfortunately. Now, I just did a driver's floor panel on my brother's 91, and it actually came pre-drilled for the two front ones here. So I had to plug the holes because he doesn't have these on his Jeep. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and we're going to set it up here. Now you have to make sure that the fender flare is between the body and this metal step when you do all this. So you need to make sure you're like this is right here. So we've got the flare sandwiched between the body and the step, and we're going to take and hold the step up. See, we've got it going through those studs. So that'll get us basically where we need to be. Now the other way that I located this on the other side is, seeing how there's a notch in that hat channel for this rear bolt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie, I'm going to draw on that hat channel where the center of that notch is, and then mark on the step next to that nut that's welded on there where the center of that nut is. And I'll line those up, and that will give us our first hole. And then we will put a bolt through that coming from the top. And then we will go to the front and we will drill a hole there. And after that, we will remove this. We'll take a couple measurements and drill the other two holes. Now these two I'm drilling first because I can get to them from under here. I can drill straight through them using like a 5/16 bit because they are 3/8 bolts. And then once I have the 5/16 hole, I can go up to a 3/8 hole. Then we're going to measure on center from that hole over to where the other bolt is. The same with there. And then once we know we have all the holes drilled in the right spots, we're going to go back and we're going to oversize those holes with a step bit. We're going to go up 2 sizes on the step bit. I'll have to try and see if I can read on there. That way it gives you a lot of wiggle room as far as getting these bolts to go through the floor and into the step panel. You don't want the hole to be the exact size of the bolt because it makes it difficult if you're not perfect. And even the factory holes are going to be a little oversized for that reason, because not every part's identical. Okay, so we're going to do that and we'll be back. Okay, so there's our mark, basically the center of that. And then we've got this marked. So we're going to put this back up here. Get the plastic stud sticking back through like that. And we're going to make sure that we're sandwiching the plastic flare between the body and the step. And then we are lining that up there. And we're going to check the front here. You can't really see, but we're going to make sure that up front here we are, again, between the step and that we've got the flare in between there. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to push this up against the rocker, and we're going to take a drill bit and drill this out, and we will be back. And make sure you wear safety glasses because you're drilling over top of your head. I'm using a 5/16 drill bit, which will go through that without damaging the threads, because that takes a 3/8 bolt. So we'll be right back. Okay, so what we did here is we drilled this hole. We took it up to 3/8. We drilled it with a 5/16, so we took it up to 3/8, because this is your hole that we have actual reference for. Now, on the driver's side here, the seat frame is sort of in the way of putting this bolt in. So for temporary, what we did was we stuck the bolt in through the bottom. So it's going up through the hole. So it holds that in place where we need to be. And then we took 5/16 and drilled this hole. That way these two holes are located in the body. All right, so then we're going to take this off and we're going to measure we're going to measure out center to center, and we're going to go from this straight over to here. And these are two different sizes, front and back. I'm going to remeasure them to make sure. I wrote them on the body on the other side. But one pair of holes is an 1/8 inch difference between one pair and the other pair. So I'll remeasure those. I'll get them written on the body here. We'll take this up to a 3/8 hole size. That way we can measure from center to center. And we'll go from there. Okay, so those are your holes that you're dealing with here. So the front one, they are 3 3/4 on center, and the rear one is 3 7/8 on center. So I measured it out with a caliper. It's a cheap Harbor Freight caliper. It is more than sufficient for doing this stuff. And then we took and we transferred. We held it up here, lined it up on the center with that hole we already drilled. We got to set it up for 7/8 here. So we lined it up with the center of that hole, marked that, and then we came back with a small little carpenter square and lined up best we could with what looked like the center of that hole to here, and that gives us a point right there to drill at. We did the same thing on the front here. Now this is going to get you close enough. We're going to oversize the holes anyway, so you just need to be as close as possible. And this is also hoping that your rocker panel is straight and square, not all warped and messed up, or somebody replaced it and did a bad job. So we're going to drill the rest of the holes in, and we will be back. Okay, so as you can see, we have the 2 front bolts in, one of the rear bolts in, and this rear bolt we can't put in without removing the seat. You can see the seat is actually notched for it, so we know we are in the right spot. So we're going to have to remove the seat, which sucks to have to do, just to put this bolt in, and then put the seat back in.